Cagayan de Oro Church of Christ presents. Genesis 21 tells the story of Isaac's birth, fulfilling God's promise to Abraham and Sarah, and the subsequent banishment of Hagar and Ishmael. It highlights God's faithfulness, the importance of keeping promises, and the complexities of family relationships. The chapter also shows God's care for those who are seemingly outcast, like Hagar and Ishmael. Key events and themes. Birth of Isaac. God fulfills his promise of a son to Abraham and Sarah, naming him Isaac, which means he laughs. Sarah rejoices at the fulfillment of God's promise, expressing her disbelief that she would nurse a child in her old age. Ishmael's dismissal. Sarah demands that Hagar and Ishmael be sent away, causing Abraham distress. God instructs Abraham to heed Sarah's request, assuring him that Ishmael will also become a great nation. Hagar and Ishmael's provision. Hagar and Ishmael are sent into the wilderness and nearly die of thirst. God hears Ishmael's cry and provides a well of water, demonstrating his care for them as well. Covenant with Abimelech. Abraham makes a covenant with Abimelech, the king of Gerar, solidifying their relationship and addressing the issue of the well that Abraham had dug. God's faithfulness. Despite the challenges and human imperfections, God remains faithful to his promises to Abraham and Sarah, and also shows his care for Hagar and Ishmael. Family dynamics. The chapter explores the complexities of family relationships, including the tension between Sarah and Hagar, Abraham's love for both sons, and the potential for conflict and reconciliation. God's sovereignty. God's sovereignty is evident in his control over the events of the chapter. Even when they seem difficult or unfair, he fulfills his promises and provides for his people, both those within the covenant and those outside of it. The seed of promise. The chapter emphasizes that the promise of descendants and land will be fulfilled through Isaac, not Ishmael. Interpretations and lessons. God's timing. The fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham and Sarah, even after a long wait, reminds believers that God's timing is perfect, and that his promises will come to pass. God's grace. Even though Ishmael was not the son of the covenant, God still showed him grace and provided for him in the wilderness. Living by faith. Abraham's willingness to send Hagar and Ishmael away, despite his love for them, demonstrates a willingness to trust God's leading, even when it is painful. The importance of obedience. The chapter highlights the importance of obedience to God's commands, as seen in Abraham's circumcision of Isaac, and his willingness to send away Hagar and Ishmael. God's care for the marginalized. The story of Hagar and Ishmael reminds believers that God cares for the marginalized and those who are often overlooked or forgotten.